Hello Dreamer, and welcome back with this new appointment with my Dreams tutorial. First of all, I want to thank you for your support. The community is very interested in what I do, asking me how I realize my projects. I will try to make as many tutorials as possible, but for now the appointment remains one video a week. Even I'm planning to make more based on the growth of the channel. Before doing other tutorials, I'm organizing to do the first live. I would like to say one thing again about this work, because it was very much appreciated. I will do a tutorial on the creative process, which will probably be divided into two parts. Get ready because it will be fun. Being a bit more complex, I think it's better to watch it in two parts. In the first one we will see Goku, and in the second part the other elements that make up the background and the final logo. Another important news: with the latest Dreams update I solved the problem I had on the Space Marine project. With this update there are some important news. The first one that fixed the bug on this job, the introduction of restore points to not lose the progress of the movies. For each job, up to 3 restore points will be saved in movie settings history. And lastly, if you delete a video, now it will remain in the deleted folder for 30 days on the iPad. So much chatter. The last ones are for those who aren't subscribed to the channel. So please subscribe to the channel and thank you. Great, I haven't told you yet what we are going to see today, but let's solve it right away. Mainly it will be the animation of the fire without using frame by frame. I studied a method that allows me to obtain this type of animation without making 1,000 drawings. A user in the community asked me how to do it, and today we will start from this. I made this short just to make everything more good, apart from the wolves walking animation, which still needs some tweaking. But that will be for another video. In addition to the fire animation, we will also see these shading and lighting effects on the characters. First thing, let's go to Procreate, new project. Here we will make the elements that we will need to have on Dreams. Always remember to have a very large canvas on Procreate with 250 dpi to have a better resolution on Dreams. Now I'm going to draw the elements I need. First, the flame. Let's take a yellow-orange color, like this. I set the assisted guide to vertical symmetry. Now the syrup brush, and I draw like this. Holding down to make a precise arc. And close the shape. Hold the corners. OK. Then, instead of filling this, I create a new layer. With the gradient fill, I go to give this shape. Making sure the blending doesn't reach the top corner to have a soft edge. I clip the new layer to the shape I drew. Ok, we got the only frame we'll need for the flame. Now I will need 2 more layers with the shape that we are going to draw now, which will then be used on Dreams to mask the flame layer. We will make 2 circles on the sides of the flame. First of all, I take black with the drawing assistance still set. I draw like this, ok, and fill. Now I'm going to erase with the mercury brush, starting from the other edge of the circumference, like this. We shouldn't be too precise, it's important to give a little variety, and the operation is done on the whole circumference. And make sure that the outer edge is erased so as not to have a clean cut of the shape. Okay, this is the final result. Two hairy balls or two eyes and a nose? This is the problem. Before moving on Dreams, I'm going to create two elements for the background, so as not to make a flying fire, but one that rests on the ground. I make a new layer and fill it with a brown color. Now I take the black and fill the layer with the Organic Spires brush. Ok, like this. I double and change the shade. I want it a little darker and less bright. And I erase a little to blend with the layer below. I join them and here is my wonderful land. Now with the gradient fill I create this new layer. Then we will see on Dreams what we will need it for. Before going to Dreams I have to divide the circles I drew before into two levels. I duplicate it and delete a circle in each layer like this. Ok, now let's jump on Dreams and open new project. I import the whole file. Ok, vamos! I convert the drawing into tracks, and here we have all the elements we need. I'm going to close this temporarily to position the ground level in perspective. To position the layer I use the Move and Distort tool. I move it above first of all to snap the base to the edge of the movie, so I can distort the layer only on the X-axis. Same job above. Ok, great. I move it lower to center the horizon line a bit, like here. And then with the Move tool I resize it a bit on the Y-axis. Ok, now remember this level I will need to go and mask the ground level a little on the horizon to give a greater sense of depth. Layer mask, invert. I'm going to resize until the sharp line on the horizon is no longer visible. Ok, like this. Ok, here we are. We have more sense of depth. Now I put a blue sky, like this. Ok. I copy and paste this shade below. I remove the mask and change the tone to white. I reverse it and move it here. So I have a little bit of a sky tint. Ok, at this point I bring the fire levels above the background once and reactivate them. Ok, perfect. Here are the basic elements that I will use to animate the fire. First thing, I'm going to gather everything together. Ok. Now let's see how to animate it. I'm shrinking it to put it on the ground. Here. For now it's all just a fire. Now I'm grouping the circles into one group again. My balls! It's important that this group is directly above the flame level. For each circle we go to the end of the timeline. I set 35 seconds total, but you can set any measurement. The important thing is that the rotation of the level that we are going to set is good for the duration of our film. The higher the value set, the faster the rotation will go. In my case I set it to 1500. The trend curve must be linear. The left circle will go counterclockwise, the value will be positive. For the right circle, the opposite. Same value in this case, but negative. Ok, we got the rotation we need. The fire goes upwards, so the rotation should be this. Ok, great. Now I take the group with the circles and apply the layer mask with the shape of the flame underneath. And invert. Ok. Now all I have to do is move the levels of the circles closer to the center. They are a bit too far away. And maybe I'll go and enlarge it a little too. To make it quicker, I delete the coordinates at the end of the timeline, since for now I need to fix the levels in one point, apart from the rotation of course. Now I zoom in and move towards the center. As you can see, even the part of the edge of the flame is masked by the layer above. Same work for the right level. Ok, we already got the base of our animation. Now I change the blending mode to head. I do it on the wall group. I add the lens blur filter with a radius of 1 and set brightness and contrast to maximum. Ok, good. Now add an animation with performance mode, but on the layer with the fire shape. I change the anchor point and move it downwards, so I can move the shape in the upper part without modifying the lower part. As if the flame were rising and falling quickly, like this. Fuego! "35 seconds are too long." Ok, very good. Now I'm going to add a glow below the flame to create a reflection on the ground. Oops! The ground below will be illuminated by the fire, so let's create a new layer below the flame group. I take an orange color. With the syrup brush I draw this shape. Ok, like this. Now I fill the track. I resize it like this and move it here. Great. At the beginning of the timeline I add a blur filter. Let's try 5. Blending mode still head. And I add a HSB filter to make the reflection more clear. Ok, here too, give a glitter effect, I go to work with the performance tool. Zoom in and out like this. "35 endless seconds. Have you fallen asleep already?" Ok, very good. Much better. I'm just going to increase the blur on the glow a little. Now I'm duplicating. I delete the animation I performed and resize it like this. I remove the HSB filter and increase the blur a little more. On this new layer, I work on the opacity with the performance tool to give an idea of diffused light. I'm going to tap like this. It seems like an eternity has passed, but we made it. Even the diffuse light has its animation. Now I'm going to decrease the opacity of the layer closest to the fire a little. It's a little too light. Okay, good. I still have to animate these sparks coming out of the fire to have the complete animation. As for the smoke animation, I had already made a tutorial. I leave you the link in the description. For now, let's see how to finish the fire animation. Let's get back to our project. Above the fire group, I create a new layer to add the sparks. With the luminous stylus and orange color, I draw a dot. Here. Okay. I fill the duration of the track, and now with the performance mode I make the spark do a movement like this. Okay. I delete the part I don't need and add an opacity filter so that it appears and disappears in a soft way. It starts from 0%, 100% here, and at the end back to 0%. Okay, I would say an excellent result. We have to repeat the process with other sparks, making them to different movements to have a better effect. Add a couple until you are satisfied, being careful not to overdo it to avoid rendering problems. And remember to change the blending mode to add. I'm going to change the color of the sky a little bit. Let's see if everything is more visible. Down with this shade. Okay, much better. We then created the fire animation without having to work frame by frame. The last animation I want to add is this. Follow the movement of my hands. The flame animation goes a little to the right and left. To get it, I go to work with the performance mode with the group of masks above the flame. And I create this new animation with the move tool. I try to set the performance parameter to 0 and fuego! 35 seconds, remember, 35 infinite seconds. My hand will probably keep moving tonight, scratching at the wall while I sleep. Okay, now play. It doesn't seem particularly fluid to me at the moment. I change the parameter to more or less 30%. Okay, already better. Clearly, with the performance tool, You have to work a bit to get the most fluid animation possible. And one thing I noticed, on the rotation the movements that can be obtained are much more fluid than by moving the elements. Okay, now we have come to the end as far as the fire animation is concerned. Now I had the reflection of the fire on the ground, as you can see here. The reflection below. This is very simple. We already have the elements we need. For first, I duplicate the fire group. I copy it under the main group. I go to reflect it vertically and stay and holding down to stay on the same Y axis, I position it under the fire. Overlay blending mode. I increase the blur a little. And here is the reflection we need. This allows us to have the animation of a flame without having to resort to frame by frame. To get an even better result, we need to file down a bit the details like some animations. But here we worked quite quickly, already obtained an excellent result. In this case I added some more details, like a glow here, to make the flame stand out in the night. I added the stones below. Now we are going to see two more effects that I added here, and more precisely, the lights that are projected on the wolf. To do this, I added a layer above the group where the wolf is contained. I remove the clipping mask to let you see better. This level is the exact same one I used for the fire reflection on the ground, scaled like this. Adding the clipping mask on the group below will only appear when the wolf arrives, creating a reflection on the animal. Like this. Okay, great. I then added these elements to create a shadow that would project from the ears and muzzle, and a shadow below. For the shadows that project from the head, I worked inside the head group, because I want them to move together with the head. I drew two lines, which I then blurred with the blur filter. I'm removing the filters for now, so you can see better. And I put a wide HSB filter. Okay, as you can see, these two lines project the shadow of the muzzle and ears, taking the light of the fire as a reference. Another important thing, having put the shadows inside the head group, their rotation must not change with the rotation of the head, but only move up and down. In correspondence with the head rotation keyframes, I will create a new rotation keyframes on the shadow to remain perpendicular to the fire. The wolf's head turns, but the shadows remain straight. The use of keyframes and the ability to only change the rotation in this case helps us create a very realistic effect. Finally, we see the shadow under the wolf. To create it, I just had to take the wolf group, duplicate it under the main group, invert it and bring it under the wolf. I added a HSB filter to change the tone to completely black. And I scaled Y a little to put the shadow in perspective with the ground. Bringing it to this position. Blending mode overlay and opacity 50%. One thing that is currently missing on Dreams is the ability to distort the entire group, but I'm sure that in the future it will come to make our projects even more interesting. In this case, we'll have the possibility to extend the shadow towards the left to have a much more realistic effect. Great, today we saw something very interesting that I hope can help you in your future work. Let me know in the comments if everything is clear to you or if you need more information. What we have seen today is a method to animate fire and shadow, but there are also other ways that I'm sure we will discover together. Thanks for watching and Fuegos!